All right, so let's talk about sales and marketing because it's like they're living in two different worlds. So here we have marketing in most organizations, right? And then over here we have the sales team. Oh, gotta go over here, which for some reason never talks to marketing. So it's like we've got this line in between them. So stark might as well be a concrete wall for all the talking that they do, right? And then up here is leadership, whether that's head of business development or head of the CEO, depending on how big your company is. This, leadership talks to marketing, marketing talks to leadership, leadership talks to sales, sales talks to leadership. Marketing and sales never talk to each other. And I don't know why this is. At best, we've got sales talking to leadership and then goes over to marketing. And then marketing goes over to leadership and goes over to sales. Now, ideally, if everything is going through leadership, it should all be the same, right? That's not always the case. Leadership, for whatever reason, also treats sales and marketing like they have two completely different goals, when in reality, marketing and sales are both trying to help the company make money, right? If you think of it like marketing is the quarterback and sales is the receiver, right? Can you imagine if the quarterback doesn't even bother telling the receiver where to go? The receiver doesn't even look back at the quarterback, just hopes the ball magically appears in his hands, right? That's not how it works. And it's the same with sales and marketing. It's not how that works. So instead, what I posit should be happening is that we have marketing and then we have sales. Double arrow, elbowed arrow. What I'm looking for is not an equation or a sticky note or a frame or an upload. Oh, there we go. Just draw a line. Because what I really need is marketing to talk to sales. Don't just ignore the fact that my arrow doesn't quite point to sales. That has no bearing on what I'm trying to say, just the fact that I am not an artist, which is why I write and present instead of drawing for a living. So, marketing needs to go off and do their own research, right? Because marketing has their set of data that they should be sharing with sales. Also, when marketing publishes something new, sales needs to know about that. Why? Because A, sales can then immediately share it on their personal and the company LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever channels you're on, whatever channels it makes sense to share that content on, share it out the wazoo. A, it makes you look like an expert in your industry. It makes it look like you actually know what you're talking about. And B, it boosts that content. So it helps it increase visibility. So yes, you need that. And C, sales needs to be using that content in the sales process because it can make it so much easier rather than the dreaded just following up, just you seeing, checking in, just checking in. We all hate those emails. We hate giving them. We hate receiving those emails. Everybody hates those emails. Instead, if you have someone who's on the fence and they're trying to ghost you and you're just checking in, what you should be doing instead is saying, hey, I have this article. We talked about such and such. Here's an article that answers the question for you. Send them a piece of the article. Now you're not just checking, you're not bothering them, you're providing value. You're adding value to the conversation. You are educating that prospect. It's going to go so much better for you than the just checking in. And it sets you up as a thought leader. It positions you as an expert in your industry. It is so much more engaging than just, hey, have you made a decision yet? Can we get something on the calendar yet? Right? It provides value to the conversation. It also prevents sales from having to write out the same thing in an email over and over. If sales is getting the same questions over and over and they have to keep writing it out in these emails and explaining it in all of these phone calls and Zoom calls and coffee dates that they're having, it gets really tedious. If they can just say, you know what, yes, I get that question all the time. Actually, we just made a video about it. Let me send you the link to the video. So much faster and easier for you. And again, it provides value for the client. And now, especially if you're on the phone with them, you don't have to worry about them remembering what you said because they have that link right there. They can refer to it whenever they need to. The other part of that is that, like I said, sales might be saying, hey, you know what, we get that question all the time. Okay. Does marketing know that they get that question all the time? Because if you don't already have content answering that question, you absolutely need content that answers that question. Sales marketing has lots of data, don't get me wrong, but sales is the one actually in the weeds, in the trenches, talking to prospects and clients all day, every day. That's all they do is they get that information. They need to be sharing that information with marketing. So marketing can then create content that addresses those questions, answers those questions, and then share that content with sales. And sales can go back to marketing and say, this is great, thanks. And it's a beautiful cycle. And then everybody is working together and everybody wins. The other thing we need is leads, right? If sales is getting a lead from marketing and it's not a good lead and it's just like, no, that's not who we're looking to work with, tell marketing that. Tell marketing, you know what? You brought in this lead, they came in through such and such. It's not a good lead. Marketing can then make adjustments so that they are not speaking, they're not creating content that really resonates with those people anymore. They can tailor their content more strategically so that it does focus in on the people you really want to work with so that sales is only, or at least primarily, getting the calls that they need. Because what happens instead is marketing brings in a lead, sales gets that lead, and it just sales bitches about it. And they never go over and talk to marketing. There's this wall here. Get rid of the wall. No more wall. Have this circle instead. Everyone will look better. Marketing will bring in higher quality leads. Sales will close more leads in less time. Their job will be so much easier. Everybody wins. The company makes more money. You all look really good at your jobs. Everybody wins. The end. If you have any questions about this, I do have a whole workshop where I dive more deeply into all of this and actually get your sales and marketing teams talking to each other and break past those misconceptions and inconsistencies. So if you want to learn more about that, please reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, Allison Verhalen. You can also reach me directly at info@AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is info@avwritingservices.com. That is all that I have for you today. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.